Welcome to the Movement PT Coffee Cast, where we sit down and talk about physical therapy, health, and whatever else comes to mind during our coffee-infused conversations. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Movement PT Coffee Cast. My name's Dalton, and with me, as always, is my beautifully bearded friend, William. William, how are we doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We missed an episode on the podcast on Sunday, so we had to represent for Easter, so we took a little break. Made sure we celebrated with our family. And, we missed an episode, but we're back at it. We're going to do, I don't know, what'd you call this? An EspressoCast, maybe?
Yeah, let's call it an EspressoCast.
Okay. All right. Let's call it that.
I'm sure we both drank a lot of coffee over the weekend, though, still. So,
Oh, no, I've already had like 4 cups of coffee today. So.
Actually, I haven't had that much coffee today. It's been an off day. Been a slow day.
Yeah, it's okay. You need it. You need it every once in a while.
So what are we going to talk about here today, Dalton?
That's a good question, man. No, we have some exciting news. A long time coming. I don't know if you guys have seen one of our recent posts, but we are officially putting out our coffee, the original blend, next week. So this podcast will probably go live in time. So next week, what's the exact date on that? April 29th, right? I'm pretty sure.
I believe so.
Yeah, so April 29th.
Yes.
We are putting out the pre-order for our coffee. So we're going to release it. We're going to have a pre-order open for that whole week. You guys can finally get your hands on some of the fabulous original blend. As I have it here, it smells amazing. I'm excited. I'm excited for everyone to have it in their hands. But I think what we wanted to talk about today, maybe a little bit of a promo for our coffee. We kind of want to just talk about how maybe remind people as to why we started the podcast, especially if there's people that are joining us, are new followers or haven't had a chance to maybe listen to like our first episode of us kind of talking about why we wanted to do this, and then kind of maybe transition into a little bit of the purpose around the coffee and like why we think it's important. It's not just about the beans. It's mostly about the beans, but there's always a lesson behind everything.
No, but that is so crazy, right? Because like so much has happened to put this in place. Like I guess you just maybe see, aside from a couple people who are kind of been around us, but you just see the coffee pop up on Instagram. But it's been a long road to kind of get us here. So I guess that's kind of what we're hoping to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who don't know, like me and Will started this podcast back when we were starting our second year of physio school. And really the reason why it came to be was we would get together, we would drink mass amounts of coffee, and we would just rant about physio, mostly about physio school, mostly about, some things that we didn't necessarily agree with, or, things that we wish we were learning. And most of it was positive, but a lot of the times, we would just be very highly caffeinated having conversations, and we thought, why the hell not just record these conversations and then bring in actual, people that are in clinical practice into the conversations to kind of help bridge the gap between like what we were learning in school and what was actually going on in clinical practice. That was like our original idea with it. And as everything, I think things develop. As we started to go through, I think that's still one of our main goals, but I think as we start to develop and talk to more people, our goal is has kind of become like a conversation piece between, other healthcare. Like we want to make it a lot of different healthcare professionals. We want to have different people on the podcast, have different perspectives, and you know, mostly just have conversations about how we can make the profession better. So yeah, that's kind of where the PT Coffee Cast originated from.
Yeah, it really did originate from just us being like ranting about things and drinking so much coffee, like nonstop, you know. And I think that was the cool thing, was we were kind of just looking at what was sort of happening outside of school, you know, because we were a little trapped inside those walls, and we were looking elsewhere and seeing a lot of conflicting information that we wanted to know more about. And the cool thing about starting a podcast is it sort of opened us up to the reality that you can reach out to people, and most of the time they're willing to connect, you know. And
Yeah.
I think we sort of saw that opportunity, and that's why we started the podcast, and it kind of just developed, you know. And I think coffee's been the one consistent thing through it for the most part.
Yeah.
Especially even at the beginning, like we were so hardcore about it. We were drinking coffee at like 8 at night.
Yeah, man.
I think we've sort of had to limit that, especially as we've actually been working. But, you know, I like that it had those sort of beginnings.
No, yeah, for sure. And that what you said about how it kind of taught us just to reach out to people, that kind of led us down like the road of even having like this coffee release. So I can kind of continue on, like segue into that next part. Was, I think obviously me and you always, I remember always joking with you about being like, yo, if we could ever just have like our own coffee blend, I would be good. I can retire. I'll stop whatever I'm doing, and we're good. And I always thought that it would be something that we would do, like, who knows when in our career or whatever. Like, I figured it would be something like 10, 15 years away from when, like, I actually made that joke. And, like, now here we are, you know, officially releasing our own coffee blend, which is pretty cool. But I think, like, what ended up happening was, like, it was just it's, you know, you reach out. We talked to Danny Lear of Caffeine and Kilos on one of our episodes, which you should definitely check out. And we're like, yo, we want to make our own coffee. Like, how do you do it? And he's like, you just go and talk to coffee roasters and try coffee, and then you just do it. And we're like, oh, okay. So that kind of just led us down the road to like, reaching out to the person that we're working with right now. And we just, you know, shot him a message on Instagram and was like, we totally didn't have the intent of starting our own coffee with them. It was more like, hey, we've had your, you know, cold brew, which is like workshop cold brew, and we enjoy it, and you're local, and do you want to collaborate and, you know, maybe have something to do with what we're doing? And it ended up turning into like, yeah, let's do it. And do you guys want to make coffee? And we're like, sure.
Yeah, because we sort of brought it up as a long-term thing. Like, hey, maybe in the future, we could do a sort of coffee thing, like have our own beans or whatever, because that's kind of like our dream for the podcast, is to have like our own coffee that we can drink on the podcast and that other people can buy from us and stuff. And so like, and then he was kind of like, oh yeah, we could do that pretty soon. So we were kind of like, oh, all right. And then obviously, like, hey, by the way, shout out to Paul from Workshop Cold Brew. He's a great guy. He's been helping us out through the process, which has been super awesome, because we don't really know anything about selling products or like
business or
developing like a coffee, like, and which has been cool, right? Because
yeah,
first of all, I think we should kind of close out that whole idea of like, it all starts with just connecting and reaching out to people and having discussions, and that's why we love coffee in the first place. You know, it's like, that's what it's all about. And we obviously value the critical discussion and just like having conversations, because that's what kind of pushes us forward as like groups and individuals. But also it just goes to show you how much, if you reach out to people and you get out there, you can learn so many different things you would never expect to learn.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, again, part of like the benefit of doing what we've done with the social media and like trying to put out a podcast and doing all that stuff is like, you just kind of do it and you learn from it and you figure it out along the way. And I think that's just another example of, you know, if there's something that you want to do, that you're interested in doing, that you're thinking about doing, and you're having a hesitation, like just do it and just go from there and figure it out. Don't wait for the perfect time, because it's never going to be the perfect time. So it kind of just like reframes that whole idea as well.
Yeah, and I think like we have talked about this a little bit before, but can't emphasize the idea enough of like allowing yourself to have other interests. And sometimes those could be related to your job, as like in our case it's a physiotherapist, but whatever your kind of main profession is or line of work, having other interests is definitely okay, you know, and to try to explore those a little bit. Like I know you have in the coaching world. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, I think it's important to, I think we get caught up in this idea that we have to do one thing and one thing only. And I don't think that that's true. And I mean, if you want to do one thing and you're happy doing it, great. But like, if you have other interests, like I feel like don't be afraid to continue to approach them. And, you know, if your career goals shift or what you want to do for the rest of your life shifts, then that's okay. Like I honestly sit here with not knowing like what my career is going to look like in, you know, 5 to 10 years. Like right now I'm super passionate about physio and I'm super passionate about helping people, you know, coaching and human connection and all of that good stuff. But like, who knows what the next like 5 years is going to bring. I think keeping an open mind and being just open to new things it just makes things a lot easier, and kind of helps avoid that burnout situation, I think, which is very, very popular in this profession, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I think something that has sort of changed for me in the last couple of years is just being a little more comfortable with doing things that I am uncomfortable with. And for me, that's like I don't like change, you know, like I never have liked change, but just being okay with like that uncomfortable feeling of reaching out or trying something that I've never done. Like putting this coffee out for us is pretty intimidating, you know, because as we've talked about, like we've never really done something like this. But I think there's more risk of not doing it and not trying those things and learning from them and growing, you know?
100%, man. Before we end it, you want to kind of maybe talk a little bit about like the bigger picture around like the coffee? Like I know you've put it into words a couple times, like that is pretty good in the sense of like what we want to do. Like obviously, yes, it's cool that it's our coffee and that we get to have our own blend of coffee, but maybe kind of put some context around like what our maybe mission is with it.
Yeah, sure. I think it's pretty clear at this point, you know, because what we are drawn to the podcasting medium because we love having conversations and we love having discourse and critically kind of just analyzing things and hearing new ideas, challenging old ones, and kind of just developing thoughts. And I think we obviously really, really enjoy coffee, and we think it kind of enhances those experiences and those kind of connections. It's a great way to connect with people. And so hopefully by like having our coffee and by sharing it with others, they can sort of feel connected to us in that way. And maybe it'll encourage them to sort of do the same things among their like little groups. And if we can be a part of that in some way with the coffee, then that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And I think another way we plan on like pushing like good information is like, you know, we plan on having attaching to every bag like some of the people that we've had on the podcast, to where they can find their information. And I'm sure as we develop along, like anyone who buys a bag of coffee will have a little bit of something that comes with it that can help give people an idea of what we're trying to do, the group of people that we're working with that are trying to push this profession forward. You know, if we can reach the public that then has our coffee that then leads to these other people, I think it's just another way of continuing to grow and spread the movement that we're trying to have, you know. So I think that's a cool thing too.
Yeah, that's right. We want and we're obviously going to develop over time, but we want the coffee to kind of be like traveling around the world, spreading a positive message, you know?
Amen. All right.
Into your cups.
Great.
Wait, Dalton, we got to actually talk about what the coffee tastes like, what it's like, and then we can close it off. Okay,
give it to them.
So I think we've been describing it kind of like it's like a crushable coffee. So it's sort of like smooth, it's very smooth and crisp. It tastes great like out of most brewing methods.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a kind of coffee you can have every morning, you know? It's very consistent.
Yeah. And I would say like from the different ways that I've tried it so far, I think my favorite has been like pour over.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm a huge AeroPress fan, as all of us know, but I think the best that I've had it was out of the pour over. But man, the cool thing about it, and this is what I'm excited, is like it doesn't matter really like what kind of coffee drinker you are, you can enjoy this. You know,
yeah.
Like we've spread it out to some people like that are just your everyday coffee drinkers that drink like, you know, out of I don't even know what you call them because I've never really used them, but like the old coffee machines or like even like Keurig.
Like the drip coffee.
Yeah, drip coffee machines. You know, my dad, shout out, he does that. He tried it. He liked it. So I think what's cool is you can have it in many different ways and enjoy it. So that's what I'm pumped about. I'm pumped to hear the feedback from people, how they enjoy it. And, you know, stay tuned, man. We're going to have some different blends that we're going to drop. So, you know, the super coffee snobs out there, we'll get you something nice. Don't worry. Stay patient.
Oh, yeah. We got lots of ideas cooking in the old kitchen there.
Yeah. But, okay, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. We wanted to just talk a little bit about the coffee. We're super pumped about it, obviously. We can't wait to get it out to you guys. So, again, starting on April 29th, which is the Monday following when this podcast will be released, we will have our pre-order. We'll toss out a website that you can go to order the coffee. Obviously, we hope that you guys will get a bag because we're super excited to get into your hands. So check that out. Stay tuned on our Instagram for that. And yeah, we'll be putting out a couple more posts about it. Maybe a couple little videos of different ways that you can brew the original blend, maybe a little siphon brew. But yeah, we're pumped, guys. So if you guys want to follow us on social, you know where we're at. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at the MVMT PTs. If you guys like any one of our podcast episodes, please head over to iTunes, subscribe, leave a review, and then share an episode with one other person. It really helps us grow. As always, we appreciate the support. We wouldn't be able to do what we're doing right now if it wasn't for you guys. So honestly, thank you. And we hope you guys enjoy this. It means a lot to us. Will, you got anything?
Thank you in advance for anyone who buys a bag of the original blend.
Yes.
That's all.
All right, man. Everybody, enjoy. Peace.